You don't say the one!
Hey, good morning, Metropolis. It's now 5 after the hour of 6 a.m. in the big monster city.
Come on! Let's get pumped!
I'm not drinking any fucking Merlot! What can I say? The camera loves me.
Shall we begin?
After you, Junior.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Multiplex Logged It. Tonight, we're talking Disney live-action movies. This should be a fun episode. But before we get into that, we introduce our panel. Small panel tonight, but a good one nonetheless. We've got Mr. Payson Johnson and Jack Pinchuk. Payson, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. On the way home from work, I was listening to an open letter to NY by the Beastie Boys to pump me up. In respect to the great American hero Kendall Roy, so I'm feeling good.
I love that I can just fully picture you doing that, like just so. That's amazing. L to the OG, and Jack, how are you doing today? Were you also trying to recreate a moment from Succession?
No, I was listening to the audiobook Oscar Wars on my way home from therapy. It was a good day.
You know what? That's living your best life. Let's be real here. I read the first chapter of that book. That's my Barnes and Noble book. Whenever I go to Barnes and Noble and just spend an hour there, I just go read that book in Barnes and Noble. Anyway, so I read the first chapter of it. I'm probably going to read the first chapter or the second chapter of it on Thursday. There you go. Anyway, I didn't need to explain all that. But anyway, your favorite movie you logged this week is the first part of the show. Payson, while I make the YouTube post, you start talking.
Absolutely. My favorite movie I logged this week, as some people know, I'm still going through original screenplay winners. This is one of the original screenplay winners of the 1970s. It also won Best Picture. You call this a big middle finger that I'm currently cranking up towards Jack Pinchuk. But yeah, I'm going to say it. Annie Hall is amazing. I am putting everything aside from who made it. This is such an incredible look at both relationships and breaking up with someone. I think Woody Allen, regardless of what you think of him, has such a knack for like just the anxieties of like personal like struggles in like connecting with someone. Diane Keaton is so good as the title character, and just how both Alvy and Annie like play off of each other. Alvy is a bit more of like an uptight, neurotic type of guy. Annie's a little bit more of a free spirit, and just how their relationship goes throughout the movie, I think, is really, really incredible. They break up, they get back together, they break up towards the end. It ends with maybe one of my new favorite, like the way how Woody Allen compares relationships to chickens. At the end, it sounds weird, but when you hear it in the movie, it's one of the most profound things you will ever hear, like in film. Incredible cast. Christopher Walken shows up for a scene. Get ready, everyone. Shelley Duvall's in there for a scene. Sigourney Weaver, Jeff Goldblum shows up. It's an incredible film. Full respect to Star Wars. This movie deserved to win Best Picture.
I agree with exactly what Payson said. The cast is great. You know, Jeff Goldblum, as you said. Shelley Duvall. Carol Kane shows up. Sigourney Weaver's also in it for like very quickly. But sometimes I'm driving and I just want to veer in the headlights. Anyway, I love this movie. I think Keaton is just so brilliant. And I just think that the dynamic between the two of them, and also kind of the cultural things going on with New York and LA. Also, Paul Simon is in this, and he's very good. And it's like so random, but he's great. Yeah, I love all the different like ways the film represents the relationship and Alvy's perspective in a lot of unique, like very filmmaker ways. Like there's an animated segment. There's a scene where it's like subtitled and you see what they're actually saying. Just a lot of really clever like filmmaking.
The Snow White scene is so much fun.
So good. So good. Anyway, Jack, how do you feel about Annie Hall?
Just gonna be upfront. It's been 3 years since I've seen it. I'll be watching it again in a couple of weeks, hopefully. I will reserve judgment until then. As of right now, not a fan, but I'll try to go in with the most open mind I can.
That is fair. I respect that. Anyway, Jack, we'll go over to you because I need to figure out what my pick is.
All right, yeah, I was stuck between two, but I'm gonna go with a Vincente Minnelli musical. I saw The Cabin in the Sky. It was one of either Alex or Melissa's picks for View 52 for musical, and it is a lot of fun. Cabin in the Sky. Let me figure out what year that was. That was 43. Basically, this guy who's like not the greatest of husbands. He's a big gambler. He's got a lot of debts and a lot of personal demons. He dies like at the very beginning of the movie, and what follows is like a 10-minute sequence between his soul, the like Satan's son who comes to claim him, and the angels who are like, nah, we're gonna give this guy another chance. So he has 6 months to better his life, but he won't remember any of like that conversation with the angels and demons, and it's wild in all the best ways. Definitely not what you would think of when you think of a Vincente Minnelli musical. You think of Judy Garland, you think of Gigi. This isn't the one you think of, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I have not heard of this. This sounds awesome. Payson, have you seen this?
I have. Personally, it's not my favorite Miyazaki movie. Awful dub with James Van Der Beek.
Oh, shut up.
I have not seen this movie.
Sounds great though, Jack. Now over to me. Literally just logged it because I realized I watched it today and I haven't logged it yet. I'm going with 2011's Young Adult, directed by Jason Reitman. This was a movie that, it always kind of felt like the weird middle child in Jason Reitman's filmography. I mean, there are also movies that are just bad, but this is the one, like, I've never heard bad things about it, but I had never really heard great things about it. People don't really talk about it, and it's not anything. And but then Payson watched it, and Payson was like, "This is great," and I was like, "I love Jason Reitman. If this is apparently great, I probably should see it," and I really liked it. Charlize Theron is fantastic, and this character is the reason why the movie works, because it's an awful character. The main character is a terrible person.
Worst.
She's the worst. She's the worst. But the movie absolutely knows it, and the movie does not try to condone her actions in any way. It just kind of shows you this person, and it does reveal more about her, but it never feels like the film's just trying to be like, oh, because of the things we learn, it condones the rest of the action. Like, no, she's still an awful person who should be bettering herself. But it also doesn't treat her like she's irredeemable garbage either. It's just she should get better, and she isn't. She hasn't grown up is kind of the thing. And Theron just crafts the character so well. And then the performance I really liked in this was Patton Oswalt. Yes. Patton Oswalt has a really unique character in this, and kind of mirrors Theron in a lot of ways, actually, though in a different way. But he kind of has a lot of the same issues as she does, just in a different direction. And I think it's really fascinating how the film portrays that. Patrick Wilson's okay. Patrick Wilson is an actor who never has basically never tilted the dial for me. He is always just, he's there.
That's fair.
He's serviceable. He's like, He's a plain hamburger. He's there to get the job done. He doesn't hurt the movie. He doesn't help the movie. Overall, really liked it. Don't know why it doesn't get talked about more. I don't know how I feel about the ending. I'm still processing it. I'm not quite sure how I feel about that. But anyway, really good. Theron probably should have been nominated. Anyway, Jack, have you seen this?
No.
Fair. Payson, go ahead then.
Yeah, I talked about this a few weeks ago. I have yet to see Juno. I have yet to see Thank You for Smoking, but I've seen Up in the Air, and this is still my favorite Jason Reitman movie. Really love Up in the Air, but I think this one I just love these types of stories more, where you're just following just a bad person, and like you think maybe they're gonna change and get better, but no, they just sort of keep on diving into their own miseries. Yeah, like you said, I really do love the relationship between Mavis and Patton Oswalt's character, how they both sort of see like the faults in each other, and that's kind of what connects them. Really funny moments. The moment I think is easily the biggest laugh for me is where she's trying to get a jacket for the concert that she's going to go to, and the attendant is like helping her, and she's like, and she says, "Oh no, I've already seen him. It's his wife that hasn't seen me yet." And the person helping her is like, "Yeah, my lunch break just started. I'm gonna go get my replacement." It's incredible, awkward, cringe comedy, and I'm all here for it.
Yeah, no, that's a great moment. And there is, just a quick add, there is a scene towards the end involving a drum set that is brilliant and is worth watching the movie for that moment alone.
Yes.
Anyway, moving on, though, that does conclude that side of the coin. Now to the other side of the coin, your least favorite movie you logged this week. Payson, over to you.
Yeah, my least favorite movie I've logged this week is my least favorite movie of 2023 so far. It is Charlie Day's directorial debut. It's called Fool's Paradise. It's the only half star I've given this year. I don't like giving half stars. The reason this gets a half star is because nothing in it works. To describe the plot of this film, Charlie Day plays a guy that he has a regression disability, is how they describe it, where he has the brain of a 5-year-old, which this movie thinks means that he cannot talk and has to pantomime everything because, sure, movie. And he looks exactly like another actor that is currently so hardcore into method acting that he refuses to go on set anymore because they're filming a Western, and movies did not exist in Western times, so his character refuses to even step in front of a camera. That actor dies due to autoerotic asphyxiation, so they decide to put in the version of Charlie Day that cannot talk. Everyone thinks it's a bit that he cannot talk, but he really just can't talk. Yeah, no jokes in this movie land. Ken Jeong plays the publicist that's trying to like get Charlie Day's character to essentially be his new client. He gives him the name of Latte Pronto because someone said that on set one time. It's not really explained why. This movie is 90 minutes. It felt like 3 hours. Once again, I think I've said this metaphor before. This is the type of movie where, as I'm watching it, I slowly start to look up at the fan and see how strong are those ceilings fans, and can they hold a good rope? Because that is what this movie made me feel like doing. If it's the closest I think I've ever been to walking out of a theater. The ending goes on like 20 minutes longer than it needs to. It's an interesting concept. It has a huge cast. Like, if you look at the cast of this movie, Charlie Day is pulling massive amounts of favors. Apparently, this movie's been in development for like 5 years, and it's just now being released. But yeah, awful movie.
I haven't seen this yet. I was very bummed to hear that it sucked because, like,
that's interesting.
What?
It has a very interesting concept, is what I
It's an interesting concept, and just like, look, it had like the vibe, even the poster, it just kind of had the vibe of like a Preston Sturges movie, and it just looked like something really unique. And so I'm really bummed to hear it sucks. Jack, did you see this?
No, I just heard it was terrible, so I avoided it.
Fair enough. Well, at least Glenn Howerton made up on the It's Always Sunny trying to make movies front in Blackberry. Because he was great. I almost brought up Blackberry, but I watched Young Adult today, and I was like, yeah, that's better than Blackberry. So anyway, now it's over to Jack. Jack, what was your least favorite movie log this week?
We talked about a Vincente Minnelli musical that really works. Let's talk about one that has some really big issues. It's The Pirate from 1948. Judy Garland, blameless. She is not the problem here. The problem, or at least one of the very big ones, is Gene Kelly playing character who is apparently supposed to be Middle Eastern, which is already an oof. But yeah. It centers around Judy Garland, who's supposed to marry the mayor of this small town in France, or not France, Spain, one of the European countries, and she's in love basically with this the tales of this pirate who from a while ago, and Gene Kelly who, after being told no several times, decides to just go, yes, I am that pirate. And try to win her over that way. There are things that work in this, Judy Garland being one of them. The music is hit and miss, but there's a song in here called Be a Clown, which I've been told was essentially Make 'Em Laugh is essentially that. Just is a rip of that, and it went to court, and you can definitely tell. I haven't seen Singing in the Rain yet. I have heard the song Make 'Em Laugh, or at least part of it. It's very similar. The end is it goes on a little too long. That final scene really could have been cut. It's just them doing Be a Clown again. But yeah, no, there's things that work in it, but oof, there are some choices made that just do not look good.
I think I might be cutting out a little bit. Payson, I assume you haven't seen this?
Yeah, I have not seen it, but hearing what Gene Kelly plays, it sounds like Richard Dreyfuss would be a really, really big fan of this movie.
You're not wrong.
Yikes. Yeah. So I'll just quick make my pick, and then I will probably leave and come back, and I'll just let you guys start talking about my pick while I refresh. So my pick, yeah, I'll go with Precious from 2009, because I'm going with another Best Supporting Actress winner. Go ahead. Have either of you seen this?
I have.
No.
Okay, go ahead, Payson.
Yeah, I watched Precious, I want to say, last year, and honestly, I think the movie is not that great. I think it's one of the weaker nominees of 2009. I think, okay, in terms of his Oscar wins, I think Monique winning for Best Supporting Actress, honestly, I do think that is a pretty good win. Like, I know some people in this community don't love that performance. I think it's a good performance. It wouldn't be my winner. But everything else, like, I hate to say it, it feels like one of those, like, depression porn movies where it just feels like you're watching a movie and you just feel miserable the entire time, which can be done good. Like, I enjoy a movie like Manchester by the Sea that does that. But this movie, I think the thing that really harms this movie is the direction. Like, Lee Daniels just, at certain points, just gets too stylistic. And it clashes with certain scenes that are also just, like, super, like, gritty and, like, really trying to make you feel uncomfortable. And it doesn't, like, combine in any, like, really strong way. I think the fact that this one adapted screenplay, like, is kind of a joke. Like, I Monique wouldn't be my winner, but I still think that's a decent performance. I don't think this is a very good script. The fact that Boat just put Precious instead of the full title of this movie is kind of an insult, but at the same time,
I don't care that I'm insulting this movie.
Yeah, good point. Movie's not great.
This movie, I'm not, especially for this movie, I'm not typing out that full thing. Yeah, I think Payson kind of touched on the same things I was going to touch on, which is that like a lot of awkward directing choices. Like the dream sequences are really weird and don't work. The performances are not really the problem, but I don't think any of them transcend the movie either. Especially, I don't think Monique deserved the win, or to be honest, I don't know if she really deserved the nomination. I also think Sadib is like fine. I just think that it's a bad script with bad direction, and yeah. And Jack, you haven't seen it, correct?
No, I have not.
Okay, well then we'll move on to the actual meat and potatoes of the show, Disney live action picks. So Payson, you can start us off.
Yeah, I'm going to go with a childhood favorite of mine, more loved by, I think, vocally someone else in this community. Shout out to the Moose Man. This goes out to Cameron Holtzman. I'm picking Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. I like fantasy, and this is kind of like, in a way, like beginner's Lord of the Rings. Like, and I think the fact that you're viewing this from a child's perspective, I think makes it even more fun. I think all four of the Pevensey children are pretty fun characters. Well, I guess at least like two of them. I guess Susan and Peter are kind of boring characters, but I think Edmund and Lucy, especially Lucy, was always my favorite character as a kid. I think she's great, but I think the world of Narnia is why you watch this movie. I love the Beavers. Mr. and Mrs. Beaver just seem like such jolly people. James McAvoy, great performance as Mr. Tumnus. Tilda Swinton, like underrated movie villain as the White Queen. Like I think she is excellent as that character. Has like a really good like sense of scale. Like I think that battle at the end, I think still holds up. The scene where Aslan dies is still a disturbing scene in 2023 if you go back and watch it. Yeah, I think this is is a really great movie. I still have a lot of fun watching it.
Yeah, no, this one works. I think this is pretty valid. It's definitely like, it feels like it's kind of coming in the wake of other things, but it's one of those cases like kind of with Dune, where it's like it feels like it's copying other things, but that's because it's adapting source material that was kind of copied to death, and that kind of originated it. So it's kind of a chicken egg situation there. Garth actually has a point here.
I've never tried it.
Turkish Delight sucks. If
Not
anyone betrayed his family for Turkish, that's the equivalent of betraying your family for like circus peanuts. That is the equivalent. Like the little marshmallow peasy thing. Like that's the equivalent. Or like black licorice. You know, just awful. Screw you, Edmund. Not for betraying your family, but for not trying to get some better candy out of it. Anyway. Yeah, fun movie. Jack?
Yeah, this movie's fantastic. Definitely one that I've been meaning to rewatch for a while, just haven't gotten around to it, but I remember most of this movie very, very well. I watched a lot as a kid. That scene where Aslan dies on the stone table it broke my heart as a small child, and it still breaks my heart today. It's such a well done movie. I really need to watch it more.
That is fair. Okay, well, Jack, moving over to you.
All right. There is a person in this community who probably likes this, who definitely likes these movies more than I do, but he's not here, so I'm going to take it. I'm going to take Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl. I think this movie is fantastic. It's easily the best of the Pirates movies, in my opinion. Barbossa is one of my favorite villains, period. End of sentence. I think he's fantastic in this. Jeffrey Rush gives a killer performance. Jack Sparrow, like, of course I love Jack Sparrow. Of course I love Johnny Depp's performance. It's a fantastic performance. There's some great action set pieces. There's some really, really fun moments. I love the Dead March under the when Barbossa says, "Gents, take a walk, and it shows the dead pirates underwater walking towards the British ships. Just chills every time. Love this movie. Could watch it anytime.
Yeah, I think personally for me, I prefer Dead Man's Chest a little bit. I think Dead Man's Chest just kind of expands on it, and you get kind of. I just love where all the characters are kind of double crossing each other. Elizabeth gets a lot more to do, but this is so solid, and like you can tell, this movie it has the same vibe that like Shrek does, where you can tell it's a little bit messy. It clearly kind of just has this like feel of accidental genius of just people just kind of walking into right decisions by making a lot of weird decisions that shouldn't work, but by the combination of all those weird decisions, it works. Depp is really a revelation in this, and I know it's a character that kind of felt like it got watered down after each one, but especially I think this is the best performance from Depp as Sparrow. Yeah, fantastic film. Rush is so good. I love Rush in this so much. Payson?
Yeah, I think this is a great choice. I think you had to pick one of them. I probably would have taken Dead Man's Chest as well. I think on rewatch, I think I've finally come around to I think Dead Man's Chest is probably the best one, but I still love this first one. Yeah, like both said, I think Johnny Depp is so much fun as the character of Jack Sparrow, just how he every time just narrowly avoids danger and just kind of accidentally is in this role, I think is super, super fun. Yeah, that incredible score by Klaus Badell. By Klaus Badell. I think everyone knows it was actually Hans Zimmer, but the score is still iconic to this day. I love the world this movie sets up. I love all the supporting characters. I really enjoy Will. I really enjoy Elizabeth. Yeah, Jeffrey Rush just in a way feels like he was born to play a pirate. Yeah, I think this is a wonderful pick, and yeah, Koho would be proud.
It's not every day I make Koho proud, so this is a good day.
That is fair. You know what kind of sucks, Jack, is we were on to Boatman's next pick, but he had to.
Okay, I think I'm still. I think I'm still cutting out, so I'm just gonna make my first pick. Or Payson, did you already finish talking about Curse of Black Pearl?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, so I feel like I'm still cutting out, so I'll make my first pick and then let y'all talk about it. I was gonna pick something more obscure to start off with, but since I'm cutting out, I'll just take my obvious pick. Mary Poppins, y'all. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is one of the greatest musicals of all time. Honestly, it's one of the greatest films of all time. Wow, I'm just burping everywhere. I apologize, audience. But yeah, I think this movie is just pure movie magic in the best sentiment. Julie Andrews is incredible as the title character. I think some people know, famously, she auditioned for the role of I forget the character's name, but Eliza Doolittle, My Fair Lady, and of course she didn't get it. That went to Audrey Hepburn, so she went over to Disney, and they were able to get her into Mary Poppins, and she just completely kills this role in both the like really sweet, nurturing scenes, and also the scenes where like she has to be like a strict nanny, and I think she really balances it out. I love like the light nature of this plot and how like it really doesn't. It's close to 2.5 hours, but it doesn't really feel that way. But like it doesn't have the plot that you would think with that, where like really you're just watching these kids just sort of like live their lives and go from like scene to scene. But the scenes are so good that you can't help but just like fall in love with it. Like thinking about this movie, it reminds me why I love movies like my second favorite movie of all time, Kiki's Delivery Service, where you're really just watching this character go from scene to scene and just sort of like interact with certain characters. There's not really a villain, which I love. Like I guess the bank is kind of a villain, but it really is just sort of like a force for the characters. Yeah, everything that happens with Mr. Banks at the end, I think, is really, really great. The music is excellent. yeah, I think Mary Poppins is an excellent choice and one that I was definitely going to make, but Boat made it, so thank you.
Yeah, brilliant movie, beautiful movie. Maybe my ultimate comfort movie. Just kind of feels like a warm hug, but it's also like it's not schmaltzy. Like it still has like sad, darker moments, like the Banks when Mr. Banks like knows he's getting fired and he just like walks into that fog and then like he enters and like they break his hat, like they do all these things and it just kind of has a mental breakdown at that moment. It's like he's cheerful about it, but he's kind of having like a breakdown. So I think it's a movie that while being cheerful it feels like a real cheerful. It doesn't feel like a non-acknowledgement of the struggles and things. And yeah, just great songs, great characters, just fantastic movie. Jack, you haven't seen this, and that makes you a bad person. Payson, what's your next pick?
Yeah, Disney live action is synonymous with certain genres. I think the sports genre is one of those. There are better sports movies that you could take, but I'm gonna pick this one. Have you ever watched The Sandlot and wished, man, I wish this was even more redneck? I'm taking The Big Green. Anyone ever seen The Big Green? This movie is stupid, but I love it. You got Patrick Reina, the kid who plays Hamilton from The Sandlot, and him and his classmates decide to start a soccer team with their new teacher who is from England and police officer Steve Guttenberg that just decides to coach the team because he's trying to bang the teacher. This movie is really dumb. Steve Guttenberg allows the kids to drive his car just for fun because you know what? He's a fun coach. Something I love about Patrick Reina's character in this movie is he has like war PTSD, and like as the goalie, like anytime the players are coming to score a shot, he views the soccer players as whatever type of team he's playing. Like when he's playing the Knights, he views it as Knights coming down to take him out. When he's playing the Terminators, he literally sees a dozen Arnold Schwarzeneggers riding their motorcycles to come and take it out. Yeah, there's of course the legendary character by the name of Juan. They dye a goat green because that's their mascot. They're the goats. They're the Big Green. The Big Green is awesome. Let's go.
Hold on. Back up. Was that Terminator thing BS?
No, there is a scene where 1 billion Terminators are on their motorcycle.
Do they look like Arnold?
Yes!
Is it Arnold?
I maybe it wasn't. I admittedly have not seen this movie in like 15 years.
Fair.
Big Green is awesome. It's bad, but it's awesome.
To me, it would be more incredible if that was just an Arnold cameo.
Yes.
Million Arnolds. Anyway.
I have never heard of this.
I've heard of it. I've never seen it. I really only knew the basic plot. So Jack, make your second pick.
All right. You know what? I'm also gonna go with a. No, I'm gonna go with different. I'm gonna go with a different pick. I'm gonna go with a sequel to a Disney live action movie from the 80s. It was one of the first uses of de-aging in films. I'm going with Tron Legacy. Has a really great score, underrated score, honestly. The visuals in this are a lot of fun. I haven't seen this in a minute, but good Lord, is this a really fun time. I don't hate the Jeff Bridges de-aging like everyone else does. Yeah, you can tell it was still in its infancy, but for the time, it's actually pretty decent. It's got some really fun moments. Clue is a really interesting antagonist, or at least I remember him being a really interesting antagonist. And yeah, I've already mentioned it, but that Daft Punk score fucking rocks.
There are some movies that I became so obsessed with as a child that I do not want to watch them again because I want to preserve that memory of Tron Legacy being one of the greatest movies of all time. It is not. but I'm going to pretend that it is in the back of my mind, and until I watch it again, I can keep doing that. Because I remember I was obsessed with this movie. This rocked. Like, just a really cool visual style. Really just unique idea. I really dug it. And then, like, I was so obsessed with this movie. I don't remember if it was Halloween or whatever, but my mom literally made me a Tron costume. And there is a picture of me somewhere. She even made the little disc thingy. Like, she made like a little, we just like took cardboard and like cut it out into like a little disc thingy. And like she put like glow in the dark tape on it. And yeah, it was awesome. There, like when I was like 10 or 11, that is a thing. Anyway, I to sum it up, I was obsessed with this movie as a child. Payson, go ahead.
I think if you recast Garrett Hedlund, I think this movie becomes an all-timer. Like, honestly, like, I think the fact that your lead character is such a block of wood, and an actual block of wood, Jack, not like a block of wood that you think, which is actually an incredible slice of like mahogany wood, but like this is an actual block of wood who is Garrett Hedlund. Yeah, I think this movie probably goes up, but even so, I love just the way this movie looks. It still has such an incredible, unique visual look to it. Yeah, the de-aging doesn't look good like at all, but I don't think it boggles the movie down. I weirdly kind of love Michael Sheen in like the weird role he plays as like this club owner, and yeah, the soundtrack kicks so much ass.
Yeah. Anyway, over to me. I'm going to go with my obscure pick now. I'm going with a movie from the 60s. This is really weird premise, but I actually think it's pretty fun, and nobody talks about it. I'm going with 1968's Blackbeard's Ghost. And the premise of this movie is that Dean Jones from the Herbie franchise is like this guy. He's going to be the new track coach in this town. And also there's like this like hotel or plot of land or something that he's staying at, that the daughters, like the old women in this hotel, are like Blackbeard the pirate is their ancestor. And the bank is going to like screw over these ladies. So Blackbeard's ghost comes and haunts this guy to like get him to help these old ladies so that they can like get their land back. And Blackbeard is played by Peter Ustinov.
Ooh.
And he is great. And it's basically just a lot of like hijinks and like pranks and different things, and he's the only one who can see Blackbeard, so like all this weird stuff goes on. There's a really fun scene at like a track meet where Blackbeard is like helping the guy cheat, and like he's just like turning the other competition around and just like moving them the other direction so they're running the wrong way. It's fun. It's not brilliant or anything, but it's a movie that I've never heard people talk about, and it's kind of a goofy, fun time. I assume neither of you have ever seen it.
I haven't, but it sounds really fun.
Yeah, it's just a fun time. It's on Disney Plus. If you're looking to kill 90 minutes, check it out. So now, Payson, back over to you for your third pick.
Yeah, for my third pick, I've been going through a couple of movies. It's funny. I don't think we announced this to the public. I am currently the interim producer of Logged It. Tim is currently taking a little bit of leave. He will be back. But in honor of the great Tim Brzakala, beautiful man, wonderful man, I am taking a Tim Brzakala favorite, and I am taking 2011's The Muppets. This movie is just so much fun. I have not seen every Muppet movie, but of the ones I've seen, this one is probably my favorite. I've seen this and the first one. Those ones are the two ones that I think are really, really great. And I think I slightly prefer this one. Yeah, I just love the whole like getting the gang back together. I love how like Fozzie is like a like lounge singer in Reno now, and this is where he's gone. Gonzo is now working as like a I forget the specifics of what he's making.
He makes toilets.
Yeah. He's making toilets, which of course Gonzo would be doing. Yeah, I enjoy the human cast of this one. I think the cameos are really great. The fact that they kidnapped Jack Black, I think, is super fun. Chris Cooper, I think, is just eating this movie up. I love him as Tex Richmond, I think is his character's name, and just that little rap he does, like, is something I could totally see like a modern day billionaire doing. Like I could see if like me or Boat like busted into Elon Musk's office to like try and get some money. I could see Elon Musk like busting out a rap like this to tell us why he's better than us. But yeah, I think this is just such a fun movie. The songs are super fun. Yeah, The Muppets.
Yeah, brilliant movie. And I love that it's just kind of a little bit of a meta commentary on the state of where the Muppets were at that point in time. You know, the Muppets were kind of that was probably the lowest point in time for the Muppets, where the Muppets were just kind of non-existent for the entirety of the 2000s. Like, they showed up here or there, but they had that like awful Wizard of Oz special, but like that again, that was a special. They hadn't had a theatrically released movie since the 90s. So it was kind of a commentary on the fact that nobody really wanted the Muppets anymore. And Jason Segel, man, he wrote that, and like he's great as the character, but I also just think you can tell he just understands the Muppets and how they work so well. The songs are great, and it's a movie that is satirical and meta, but it never feels like it doesn't absolutely respect and love the Muppets as characters. And I really appreciate that. Jack, thoughts on 2011's The Muppets?
Yeah, this is one I also haven't seen in a minute, but it is a lot of fun. I didn't watch The Muppets a ton as a kid, but this movie basically made me fall in love with them. I saw a couple of the other ones pretty quick after this. It's a really fun movie. Jason Segel is one of those actors that the more of him that I see, the more I love. He's got some really great movies, but this is a really fun one. Most Wanted isn't as good, but it's still fun. But this is peak Muppets. Also, that Oscar winning song is great.
Yeah, not my favorite song in the movie, but very good. I'm a Life's a Happy Song guy, but I can also bop out to Pictures in my head. Anyway, Jack, we'll stick with you. What's your pick?
All right, I'm gonna go with a childhood classic. I'm going with The Sorcerer's Apprentice. This movie is a lot of fun. Nicolas Cage, Alfred Molina, they're both having a lot of fun in this movie. Jay Baruchel's great. I cannot listen to the song Secrets without thinking of this movie. It is forever associated with it. There's some really great set pieces in this, especially the one at the end in Battery Park. When I went to when we were in New York, my family made it a priority to go to Battery Park at one point entirely because of this movie, and it was great. This is just a really fun movie. That the scene where you've got the Sorcerer's Apprentice score like playing in the background is really fun. I just have a really good time with it every time. It's one that I can pop on and just have a good time with.
That's fair. Yeah, no, I don't think this is a brilliant movie or whatever, but I definitely have some nostalgic feelings for it and a connection to a character in this movie, admittedly. But yeah, It's nothing spectacular, but it is a fun time. Payson?
I admittedly have not seen this movie, but I've seen clips from this movie. Boatman, did you jack your whole style from Jay Baruchel's character from this movie?
I did not jack my whole style from Jay Baruchel's character. I just happened to dress like Jay Baruchel dresses.
That's funny. That's funny. I like that.
I was 10 years old in 2010.
We're young
Yeah.
people, Garth. Sorry.
I was 9. I was young.
I was 12.
Anyway.
Payson, did you talk about this movie?
I haven't seen the movie, so yeah.
Oh, fair. Anyway, then we're back over to me. And I'm going to go with a movie that, I'll go with this one. I'm going to go with another older one. I'm going to go with one that I think doesn't quite get the credit that it's due, because I actually think it has an incredible villain. I'm going with 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. I think that while this movie clearly has some goofy moments, I think that the portrayal of Captain Nemo and James Mason as Captain Nemo is fantastic. It's a really interesting look into that character of this guy who, like, just, does not want to be on the surface world anymore and just kind of has a lot of hang-ups and issues. And Kirk Douglas, so he's great. And Peter Lorre is a lot of fun. But James Mason is just, I think he should have probably gotten a nomination for this. I think he's that good. And the effects, while not certainly holding up, are actually quite good for the time. And they filmed them well enough to where they don't look as bad as they probably would otherwise. They use a lot of Jaws tricks. So anyway, Payson, have you seen this?
I unfortunately have not, but I want.
Jack, did you see this?
No, I have not.
Okay. Well, I think we just have one pick left. So how do we want to do this?
I have a suggestion.
Okay.
Like, if you guys are all down for it, sort of like a universal pick. I know it's not technically fully live action, but I think one of the great movies of all time, Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Not technically a Disney live action movie, I don't think.
Oh, never mind. Then
I might be wrong about that, but I don't think it technically is. Maybe
Well,
it is.
I haven't seen it, so I wouldn't know.
I wasn't on like the list I saw. I thought because it's technically Touchstone, maybe.
Oh.
I don't know. It's one of those weird ones. You know what? Let's just say it is for the sake of whatever.
Yeah.
Let's say it is, even if it isn't. Who cares? So, Who Framed Roger Rabbit is our pick.
Who wants to start?
You can, Payson.
Sweet. Yeah, this is probably one of my favorite movies of all time. Like, I just think it's one of the smartest, like, if we talk about movies that are 100 times better than they should be, like, this to me is one of those movies, like, you see the concept of this movie and you think maybe it's going to be like kind of like a corporate cash grab movie, but it's so not. Like, I think it's just because of how much energy is put in to the characters in these movies. Eddie Valiant is one of the great movie protagonists of all time. Just you completely understand why he hates tunes, but like why he still is in the circumstances he's in, where he has to go to work with them every day. I think the production of this movie is so much fun. I love how it's set in like old time Hollywood. You see like movies being made. I love how like all the human actors. I think what makes this movie works is they don't treat the cartoons as they're like fake things. They are 100% committed to the bit, and that is what makes this movie so good, because the fact that they are so committed, you are so committed. And I think that makes it fun. Like Jessica Rabbit, Roger Rabbit, Judge Doom. I think Christopher Lloyd is so much fun. Like, yeah, I think everyone makes the joke of like, we all kind of knew you kind of know he's the villain the second he walks in, but at the same time you don't really care because the movie is so much fun. Benny the car is a lot of fun. Those weasels Judge Doom has. Yeah, this is a movie that I adore with all my heart, and I'm happy we get to talk about it.
Yeah, brilliant movie, and I think you're absolutely right. Like, Bob Hoskins is not playing this like he's in a comedy.
No.
Bob Hoskins is playing it like he's in a detective story. Like, he's playing it as if he's in, like, a Bogart movie. And I think that's what's, like, so brilliant about it. But, yeah, that's great. And then all the, you know, the cartoons and all the stuff. I mean, putting Daffy and Donald together and putting Bugs and Mickey together. Like, just things you've always wanted to see, and you get to see them. So, like, that's a lot of fun. But yeah, it's also like kind of an interesting satire and like the racial tensions of that era of Hollywood. And from what I understand, the book is even like more into that and goes even farther with it. But yeah, fantastic film. Jack?
This is one I unfortunately have not seen the full film. I've only seen clips here and there. It's a big blind spot for me, one I've been hoping to fill, but I'll see that eventually.
Fair enough. So anyway, now we just have the movie of the month, Last Action Hero, to talk about. Oh, to quickly recap though, Chronicles of Narnia, Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl, Mary Poppins, The Big Green, Tron Legacy, Blackbeard's Ghost, The Muppets 2011, The Sorcerer's Apprentice, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, and Who Framed Roger Rabbit. So, now we just have Last Action Hero to talk about. Have either of you talked about this already? I can't quite remember.
I have.
Oh, Jack has. Okay, so Payson, you're the only one who hasn't talked about it, so go ahead.
Sweet. Yeah, this was a first-time watch for me, which is kind of crazy because this seems like a movie that would be like right up my alley. And for the most part, I really liked it. I think Shane Black in the 90s is someone that was kind of just hitting home runs all throughout. Like, I'm a fan of Demolition Man. I think The Long Kiss Goodnight, if you haven't seen The Long Kiss Goodnight, it's a super underrated action movie. And this one is really, really funny, and I love the satire it does of movies in general. All the little jokes about, like, when the main character goes into the movie and you see all the cliches of action movies. One of the scenes I love is where Arnold and the kid are watching, like, Arnold's boss, like, yell at him, and you literally see the smoke coming out of the ears as he's arguing. I think that's really fun. Maybe this is an unpopular opinion. I think the movie gets better when they go back into the real world and you have the movie characters, like, interacting with the real world. Like I love when Jack Slater's like, I'll handle this. He shoots the car and he's like, why didn't it blow up? And just all those little things. He punches a window. He's like, ow, that really hurt. And it's like, you can't just punch a window, man. It's going to hurt. And just everything, how it ends with the premiere. I think I would like this movie a little better if you got a better child actor. Like, I don't think the actor at the center of this is really good, but I think that's just issue with a lot of movies at the time. Charles Dance is so much fun as the villain. He absolutely knows what movie he's in. His line of, if God was a villain, he'd be me, is so good. And just his delivery of that, I just thought was so much fun. But yeah, I think this is a really, really fun action comedy. I would give it 3.5 out of 5.
That's fair. Well, that's about it for this. Next week is, the 30th, and I believe our topic is animated heroes. So, and we have a lot of spots open for that, so be sure to comment if you want to be on for that. Anyway, that'll be it for this week. Thank you to Jack, thank you to Payson, thank you to everyone at home for watching. This has been Multiplex Vlogged It. We will see y'all later. Have a good one.